All right, guys. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a projectile teleportation system, much like Sombra from Overwatch. For those of you guys that play Overwatch, let me show this really quick. So basically, we're gonna force an aim when we hold right click, and then I can fire this little guy, and then when I press G, I teleport to its location. When it bounces and hits the ground, it automatically will flatten itself out, so that when we teleport to it, it's not gonna mess up our rotation or anything. We also don't take its rotation into account, really, to be honest. But without further ado, let's jump right into how to do this. And sorry if you hear some background noise or whatever. There's like dishwashing going on and stuff working across the street, and so sorry ahead of time. But I'm gonna get these videos out a little bit more regularly. I literally just uploaded my elevator tutorial, which I recorded like a week ago and forgot to upload. So there you go. So let's dive right into it. Okay, so once you're inside your project, again, I'm using 5.1.1. You can use earlier versions of Unreal for this, but just make sure that you adjust how you do your inputs to the older version of doing inputs. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump right in. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder. This called Teleport. If you're using the other projects that we've already been doing, and you've been following along with the series, just go ahead and just make this right inside of your teleport folder you already have. We will not be using the interface this time. We don't really need it, but we will go ahead and make a new blueprint class of type actor, and I'm going to call this BP underscore proj underscore TP for like projectile TP, something like that. I don't know. We're going to open that up, and we are going to add, I'm going to add a cylinder like I did in the intro. And so the size on this isn't really going to matter because we're going to be scaling it from the first person character. But if you want to just go ahead and make it like 0.1 on the Z just to kind of see what that looks like, go for it. But whenever we spawn it, it will be trying to override itself. Okay, but don't worry, I'll show you how to fix that. So we do want to make this the root, which I think, did I already do that without looking? I did. So, okay, first thing, scale it. Cool, looks great. But then we want to drag it over top of the root and make it the root. That way, whenever we go to bounce this thing, it won't just fly through the world. Okay, next we want to get a projectile movement. We're going to set the initial speed to something like, I'm actually going to go lower than what I did in my intro because it was a little too fast for my taste. So I'm going to go like 1500 and maybe like 2200. Okay, and then we can save. We want to scroll down here. We want to find this should bounce. Otherwise, this would actually clip through the world and just keep traveling. All right, that should be it. I feel like I'm missing something in here. But that should be it for right now. Now, we could use constraints, but I found that they kind of don't work because of the way that it spawns. So what I'm going to do instead of using constraints is we can click on projectile movement here, and we can scroll down to on projectile bounce. And whenever this thing bounces, we want to get the rotation, the world rotation. There we go. We get the world rotation. I'm going to split this, and then we want to set the world rotation. World rotation. I can't talk today. I can never talk though. That's kind of normal for me. All right, and then we're just going to pass through the Z. And what this is doing is whenever it bounces, it's going to set it flat to the ground again. So basically, just as long as your ground is 0, I guess. That's why I can't really say to the ground, but it's going to flatten it back out to 0, 0 on your X and Y, and it'll keep its rotation on the yaw, which is just the direction that it's looking, basically. And that's it. That's, if I can remember correctly, that's all we really need for in here. I guess we'll find out in a second, huh? I'll keep this open just in case. And then we're going to go to our third person area here. We're going to go to our inputs, and we're going to make quite a few of these really fast. And let me actually pull up which ones I made. So we made 3 of them. Just like, yeah, we made 3. Oh, no, just 2. You guys should already have a use action in here. I don't have it because this is a new project, but those of you who've been following along will have a use action here. Cool. You guys can actually just copy paste that one for this, but for those of you who don't, we can just make a new IA underscore, and this will be for fire. This will be whenever we're firing our projectile. We want to go to our triggers, and then we want to do on pressed. So as soon as this is pressed, it will trigger it to fire. There we go. We want to make another one. This will be our toggle, toggling our view. So this would be under or IA underscore toggle view. I think it will work perfectly fine. Open this up, and this will have a trigger, but this one will be on down. So this is as long as the button is held down, it will continue to trigger. Okay. And what was my last? I think that was all of them, isn't it? Oh, no, we need to teleport to projectile. So there's a third one. Okay. Inputs, action, and IA underscore. I'm gonna call it TP2 proj. This is because I'm really lazy. And this one will also be on pressed. So we'll go in here to our triggers and pressed. Okay. And now I want to go back to our third person character, blueprints, open up our third person character here, and we'll start to set all these up. Okay, so once we're inside of our third person character, we want to look for our IA underscore fire. I'm gonna grab that really fast, and then as you can see, I actually had to back up for a second. We want to make a new boolean here, which I'll go ahead and just make that, and we'll call it is aiming. We're going to take this, hold control while dragging it out, and then give you a get, and we can hold B and left click to get a branch, and we want to say if we are aiming, then we want to fire off a projectile. So let's say true, and we'll do spawn actor from class. We're going to get our class. We're going to get our projectile. What I call it, proj. Yeah, proj TP. And then I want to split this transform. We're going to find a nice spot on our character to spawn this from. This is actually when we need to get into creating our first person camera. So I'm going to select the mesh, and then I'm going to click add, go to camera. Okay, and then we are going to raise the camera up to about where we want it. I'm not going to attach it to the head socket like a lot of videos will tell you to do, just because it adds a little too much head bob, and I just I don't like it. Okay, that should be fine right there. And then I'm going to attach an arrow to this, and this arrow is going to kind of let us know which direction this thing is facing, and right off the bat we can tell it's facing the wrong way. So we want to do something like this, and then we can drop it down. This will actually be where we spawn our projectile. So I'm gonna call this spawn projectile underscore LOC for location. Hey, I think that's everything I need to do right here. So now we can grab our spawn projectile location arrow, and we can say get world transform. Then we're going to split this, because all we need from this is the location and the rotation. Now on the scale, we're actually just going to go and kind of mock up what we did over here in this cylinder. Remember, we made it 1.1.1, and that was just for us being able to tell what it looks like, but we want to actually spawn it like that. So we're going to change our scale from 1.1.1 to 1.1.1 so that it squishes on the Z. And then whenever we create that projectile, we want to save that off. So I'm going to call this the projectile for reference. And if you only are ever going to have this one, or if you're going to have more than one of these projectiles for whatever reason, you want to make sure to give this a more meaningful name, like teleport projectile or something like that, so you can easily reference it. So once we have that, we actually want to come back a little ways here, and we want to give us some space. We want to find out if this thing actually exists. If it already exists, then we don't want to just instantly create another one. What we'd want to do first is destroy the other one, so we only have one of these hanging out at any given time. And then once we've destroyed it, then we can spawn a new one. And if there's not already one in the world, then we can go ahead and just spawn a new one. Okay, now we need to work on getting our view to toggle so we can aim. So this will be our fire projectile event. And now we want to make our toggle perspective event, or toggle view. Toggle, what do we call it? Toggle view, yeah. So for this one, remember, this is only triggers whenever it's being held. So that's kind of what we want. So now we need our camera, and we're gonna say set active. And that reminds me, this camera actually needs to be set. So if we just start to type activate, yeah, it has auto activate here. We want to turn that off, and this is on our first person camera, not the follow camera. Make sure that you do this. And well, it really depends on which camera you want first. Since we're gonna have our third person camera out, then we're gonna let it auto activate, but not our actual camera, or our first person camera. Sorry. Probably confusing as heck, aren't I? All right, so we want to set this camera to being active whenever we are holding down our right click, which I don't think I actually set up the buttons for these yet. So we'll go back and set those up in a second. And then we want to set our follow camera. We want to set its active to false. And oh, camera, that's another thing we need to do to it. So select your camera again, and what's it called? Rotation. Use pawn control rotation. So if you just start to search for rotation, you'll find this nice little Boolean check. You want to check use pawn control rotation on for your first person camera. And the next thing we want to do is search for use control rotation yaw. So we want to set use controller rotation yaw on this to true. And then we want to set our is aiming to true. This will be when we are aiming down sights. And then we want to grab our character movement here. The whole process of this, isn't there? And we want to orient, there it is, yeah, set orient rotation to movement. And this will keep us from like jittering. If you guys ever notice that when you're using one of these, what they call true first person cameras, you start to walk backwards, it jitters. Basically what that is the camera is trying to, or the character is trying to turn around, is trying to orientate itself to rotate to your movement rotation, and it just makes the camera jitter. So make sure that this is false whenever we are in our first person mode. And then for our third person mode, we just copy paste all of this and we just do everything in reverse. So for this will be whenever it's completed. So whenever we stop holding the button down. So now we're gonna set active on that one to false, this one to true, this one to false, this one to false, and this one to true. So just exactly the opposite. If it was already selected, unselect it. There we go. That should be our first person camera. We can actually go in and check that really fast. So if I hold right, oh wait, we don't have the button made for it yet. We want to go to inputs and we want to go IMC default. We drop this down, we'll see all this different stuff. So for this first one, we can do toggle view. I'm going to make this be right click. So I'm going to click on the thing here and I'm just going to right click. And that's going to give it the right mouse button. Okay, and then we also want to set one up for our fire. I'm just going to click on there and left click, and that gives us the left mouse button. And then one more. We want our, where's it at? Our teleport to projectile, and I'm actually going to set this to G right now. Okay, now we can test at least the view. So when we hold right click, we can look around. One thing you want to do is look down at your feet, make sure that they are turning with you as you turn the mouse. You can look up, you can look right, you can look left, you can run backwards and there's no jitter except for when you run into a wall. And then you can jump and everything looks right. Now you'll notice I can see my head for a second there whenever I'm jumping down. That's because it's not following the head perfectly. So just notice that there is that. If you want, you can add it to the head bone so that it stays with the head at all times. But other than that, I don't like the way that looks. So I kind of deal with this. All right. Now, actually, did we already have our projectile spawning? Yes, we do. So you notice as soon as it hits the ground, I can aim it down and notice it goes right back to being flat. See that? That is our code in action. And it automatically deletes as soon as another one spawns. Now we just need to get it so that we can teleport to this guy. Okay, so actually one thing I forgot to put in here, we'll go back to our viewport, is a location for us to teleport to on this. So I'm actually going to grab an arrow on here and I'm going to raise this up to about 100. So 100 points up, and so that looks like the location for my case is 1,000. Might not be the right for you guys. I don't remember if I changed anything else, but the Z location looks like it's 1,000. But whenever I was lifting it, I was watching the numbers on here, and it looks like we went up 100 units. Okay, so now that gives us our teleport location. So I'm just going to call this TP location. Now, whenever we press G, which let's go ahead and comment this. This will be our toggle view. Whenever we press G, we want to teleport to it. So first thing we got to do whenever we're doing that, well, other than getting our IA_TP2 projectile thingy that I named all weird, other than doing that, we need to make sure that our projectile reference actually exists. So the best way of doing that is do a get, right click on that get, and convert to a validated get. So whenever this is triggered, we want to get the teleport TP. What the heck did I name that? TP location. Get TP location. Actually, if we do get world location, it'll give us a list of everything we can get world location of. So we'll just get the world location from this. We'll drag this guy out. And then we want to pull off of here and just type teleport. This will teleport our player to this location. And I'm not going to worry about the rotation at all. If you guys want, you can get the rotation of this guy. I would split it and only use the Z, but for these purposes, I think we can just skip that. And then we want to take this projectile reference and destroy it. So as soon as we teleport to it, we want it to go away. We don't need it anymore. And let's just clean that up a little bit and then let's get this thing tested. Up, there we go. All right. So now I'm holding right click, I fire this, press G, and I'm there. You'll notice I'm left clicking. I don't know if you guys can hear my mouse or not, but I'm left clicking like crazy. We're not firing anything, but I can fire this guy up. I can go back in third person and then press G. I teleport to the location. We can reach some nice heights somewhere. Maybe if we lift this guy up and scale it in a little ways. See if we can teleport up on top of this. Fire it up there. G. There we go. And notice it will bounce and it slides a lot. So you might want to add some. Ooh, is that a bug or is that just a lag on my end? It looks like we got some issue with it colliding with the player. It's not something I noticed last time. So one thing we can do though is we can come in here to our cylinder, and instead of having block all dynamic, we can switch this to custom and then just have it ignore pawns. I'll save. That should fix that. We'll see. Aim down. Yeah, there we go. Now it's ignoring me. It just bounces off the ground. I can teleport to it. Cool. And see, we can chain this together too, since we don't have a cooldown on it. If you wanted to add a cooldown, then you could very easily. So let's add that just really quick. And if you're already done with the video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to stick around for how to put a cooldown on this, then please do. So whenever we do our teleport to projectile, let's just comment this, and this will be teleport to projectile event. Basically, when we fire one, what we can do is we can make a new boolean here. I can just duplicate this and set can fire question mark, and we'll just automatically set that guy to true. We'll compile it and then make it true, and then we can pull off is aiming and set and drag them both together. There we go. So now we have to be aiming and we have to be able to fire. So as soon as we fire this guy off, I want to, or as soon as it goes through, actually, yeah, we'll do it right here, right before the we spawn the projectile. Actually, we don't even want to destroy the actor. So actually, yeah, we'll do it right before we even verify the projectile. Okay, so what we can do is we can set can fire to false here. And then at the very end here, we can do a quick delay for maybe, let's say 2 seconds. And then we can set can fire to true. But basically, there should be a 2-second delay between each time that we can fire. Let's try this out. Just keep spamming click, and you notice it's only spawning one every about 2 seconds. So let's see, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Maybe I count a little fast, but yeah, it's around about 2 seconds, and we could nice little slow it down. Maybe you don't want people to be able to spam them to try and get to higher places, and there you go. That's how you can do that. If you do want them to be able to spam it to get to higher places, then just take the delay out. But yeah. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. I do have a Patreon if anybody wants to join that thing. Link is in the description below. Also, a link to my Discord. I'll see you guys next time.